Ever wonder if there's a way for civilians to help out the U.S. Army right here at home without actually, enlisting? Well, that's the big idea behind this really detailed new proposal for a national service program, and we're going to break it all down.
I mean, think about it. It's a huge question for us right now. When a massive disaster hits, or worse, a few crises at the same time, who's actually supposed to step in and help? You might think we have that all figured out, but a lot of military planners are saying not so fast.
Okay, so this whole proposal really kicks off with a problem. It's something military planners are calling a readiness gap. And it's all about how the challenges we're facing today in the 21st century are just, well, they're bigger and way more complicated than they used to be. And we're not talking about just one hurricane or a single flood here. Imagine multiple overlapping disasters that just completely swamp our local and state responders. Think about the logistics of a pandemic, plus the manpower needed for a massive hurricane and trying to defend against cyber attacks, all at the same time. Our forces are stretched to the absolute limit.
And this is where we get to the real dilemma, right? The Army's #1 job is to be ready to fight and win wars, period. So every time we pull these highly trained soldiers off that mission to, say, run a supply warehouse or staff an emergency shelter, their combat readiness takes a hit. So the big question is, how do you help out at home without making our national defense weaker?
Well, this proposal has an answer. It's called the U.S. Army Auxiliary. And let's be super clear, this is not about creating a new branch of the military. It's about a dedicated, uniformed force of civilian supporters. The idea is pretty simple, actually. It would be a federally authorized group of civilian volunteers. They'd get trained and organized specifically to help the Army with non-combat missions right here in the U.S. It's basically a structured way for regular citizens to serve.
And hey, this isn't just some idea scribbled on a napkin. This is a full-blown, comprehensive draft doctrine manual. I mean, it lays out everything, from the organizational chart all the way down to the uniforms. That tells you just how much thought has already gone into this.
This idea isn't being invented from scratch. It's actually based on models that have worked for decades. You've probably heard of the Civil Air Patrol, right? They're the auxiliary for the Air Force, or the Coast Guard Auxiliary. The plan is to create something just like that, but to fill a really specific need for the Army. Okay, so let's get down to it. What would these volunteers actually be doing? The plan lays out some key areas where they could really, truly make a difference.
So think about the practical stuff. During a huge disaster, they could be the ones running the shelters or the aid distribution centers. They could handle the logistics, sorting and moving supplies. If you have medical training, you could help out at clinics. Or if you're a tech wizard, you could provide that crucial IT and communication support. These are all jobs that need organized, dedicated people, but they don't necessarily need to be combat soldiers.
But it's not just about responding to emergencies. The bigger vision here is about building a culture of being prepared. We're talking about things like a youth cadet program to teach leadership and service, community classes on how to get ready for disasters, almost like a Civil Defense 2.0, and even helping to staff local emergency operations centers. Okay, this next part is maybe the most important thing to get right. It's a crucial distinction. These folks would be supporters, not soldiers. Let's break that down. An Army soldier, they're a member of the armed forces. Their main job is warfighting. An auxiliary member, on the other hand, would be a civilian volunteer. Their mission is domestic support. They wouldn't have military rank. Instead, they'd have something called an auxiliary position rank, just to show who's who inside the organization. Legally and in every other way, they are completely different. And to make sure there's absolutely zero confusion, their uniforms would be clearly different. So instead of a tape that says U.S. Army, theirs would say Army Auxiliary. Their rank insignia would be different too, probably marked with the word AUX. It's all about those visual cues so that anyone can see in a split second, okay, that's a civilian supporter, not a soldier. And the rule book would be super strict. Absolutely no combat operations, they wouldn't have any law enforcement powers, and they couldn't just decide to go somewhere on their own. They'd have to be officially activated by the Army. Think of these as legal guardrails, making sure their mission stays laser-focused on support and nothing else. So when you step back and look at the whole thing, you realize this is so much more than just a plan for disaster response. It's really a blueprint for a whole new way to think about national service. And the benefits are pretty clear. And they go both ways. For the Army, it means soldiers get to stay focused on their main job, warfighting, which makes all of us safer. And for the country,
It strengthens our communities and gives Americans who want to serve a real, structured, meaningful way to do it without having to join the military.
You know, the guy who founded this project, J.P. Stevens, put it perfectly in the manual's preface. He called it a structure born of experience, shaped by service, and built with the singular purpose of strengthening the Army and the nation it protects. Just nails it, right?
And that really leaves us with something to think about. As the challenges we're facing get more and more complex, an idea like the Army Auxiliary really makes you stop and ask, what does it even mean to serve your country today? And what could service look like in the future?